G'day mate, my name's Margie and I'm an Australian currently living in America. Happy New Year, it's 2022 and I thought I would start off with my first video being the last or first video of season 3 of Bluey, the episode Perfect. Now this episode actually came out in September for Father's Day in Australia and it's like a bit of a debate whether it's a special or if it's episode 1 of season 3. Either way, it's a part of season 3. It's the only episode I haven't broken down yet, so we're gonna do that today. I'm gonna go through all the movie references, all the Australian references for my friends overseas, as well as all the Easter eggs that we see inside the episode too, and things that we know now that we've seen other episodes for season 3 that they have also shown in this episode, which I think is really cool. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. I do Bluey content as well as Australia versus the America content. I plan on trying to do a little bit of both each week or alternating weeks going through into 2022. So hit that like button, the subscribe button, all of those fun things, and let's get started. Starting off with our synopsis. Perfect. Bluey's Father's Day card has to be perfect, but she can't decide what to draw. So Mum reminds her about all the fun times she's had with Dad and how he's not so perfect either. Now, this is a really cute episode and almost, I would say, a perfect episode as well. It's a really beautiful one for Father's Day, and I like how Bluey does something special for each of the days, like whether it's Christmas or Mother's Day, for their birthdays, things like that. So again, I think this was a really great way to start off the season 3. So we start off with them outside making cards for Father's Day and Bluey wanting to make something perfect and Bingo explaining that perfect means really, 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 really good, which is quite cute. And then Bluey makes a reference saying that she wants Dad to stick it straight on the fridge. Now, this is the first of many times we'll hear this kind of phrase, straight on the fridge. And I definitely think it's a reference to the Australian movie, The Castle, where the father always says, oh, that's going straight to the pool room, which is a way of saying that something is really special or perfect or amazing that they want to celebrate. So that's really cool, like Aussie film reference. And then we see the spider web, which while you might not think at first it really matches with the episode, I think it's a perfect analogy. Spider webs are always perfectly symmetrical as well as being really tough and strong, which is something that comes up later in the episode. We then get this montage of games with Dad or with Bandit that we've never seen before. So this was a really fun way of seeing a couple of extra little games that wouldn't really make a whole episode, I guess, but would be like shorts on the Bluey YouTube channel. So our first one is It's Dad, which is like a very funny, almost like 1980s family sitcom kind of reference, I would say, of like a person walking in trying to break the fourth wall by saying who it is. So I think that's a really cool reference. As well as on the ground next to Bingo is a carrot, which I think is a Plants vs. Zombies reference to the carrot character in that. We then have Bandit basically saying what he wants them to do. Clap and applaud me and make me feel amazing. Which, I mean, I think that's everyone would want that, as well as every parent would want that as well. And I love that Chili just slow claps, because she has no time for this. We can see on the fridge though the magnets are B and C for Bandit and Chili. Our next game that we get to learn about is called No Ticket, and this also has some movie references in it. We see though that it starts with Chili just reading them the three little pigs. I love her like dialogue being like, oh, bad move, pig. So I think that's quite funny. And then we see Bandit coming in and asking everyone for like their fake ticket. Bluey doesn't have one and he like throws her up into the air and over onto like the cushion. Now, this could be a reference to 2 possible movies. I think it's one over the other though. So the first one is it could be a reference to Dogma, where they have a similar scene in a train where the main character throws them out of the train and they say no ticket. But I think that movie is a reference also to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusaders, where they also have a similar scene where they throw someone out the window and they say no ticket. I think it's the Indiana Jones reference more than anything else, especially because it's the Last Crusaders. We've seen that reference before in the episode Yoga Ball where they're playing Raiders. That episode will also get referenced later on, so there's like layers upon layers of Easter eggs and references happening here. But this one, definitely Indiana Jones, no ticket reference. So we then see Bluey trying to draw that. She's not quite so happy with it. And then Bingo gives a little snide remark of Dad's games are always too rough. Like I said, this is a reference to the episode Yoga Ball where she learns to have her big girl bark because Dad is playing way too rough with her. And the game Raiders kind of sends her off the edge. Our next mini game we get to learn about is called Chair, where basically Bandit just sits on them when they're sitting on a chair and pretends they're a chair. But the one thing we do get to see from one of these scenes is the long dog for this episode, which is in the fruit bowl just in the background in the kitchen. We then go through what I think is like a very interesting talk about like parenting and what we do as parents by saying that we love everything our children give us. So basically the girls start to like just draw like straight lines and squiggly lines, like, well, dad like this, well, dad like this. And Chili's like, yeah, of course he would. Okay, fine, no. Yeah, of course, people enjoy things more when there's more effort put into them, and that's what she's trying to teach the girls, but it doesn't mean that it has to be perfect. And that's the lesson that I think Chili is trying to teach them in this episode. The next little game that we learn about is called Boomerang. Obviously, Boomerang is an Australian reference. I'm going to go a bit more into that in a second. But this is the scene where we get to see Fido again. Fido, his voice actor is Elliot Fish, who is a game critic. He also produces a bunch of shows on the ABC as well. So that's sort of like his background for this. And then we get what I think has been like one of the most interesting conversations we've ever had on Bluey between two adults. And that's about not having kids in the future, basically.
It was all pretty quick, really. It was just in and out, and I even got to keep them.
Really? Look, I'm keen to get it done, but Chili, she wants to keep her options open, but I don't know. Do we want any more of these things running around?
So I've already made like a theory video about this on TikTok, and I put it up as a short here as well on YouTube, about the idea of that Fido's talking about either a vasectomy or neutering. Now, I would say neutering because that's typically what you would assume with a dog. However, based on some of his conversation here, you would suspect maybe it's more of a vasectomy instead because he was in and out really quick, got to keep them. Neutering, it's not a fast procedure at all, and there's a long recovery time. Anyway, that's like a whole other debate, but that's basically what they're talking about, is not having kids anymore. And Bandit has one of the best lines, basically saying that Chili's not ready for it. And then, of course, this leads perfectly into the next episode that we saw months later called Bedroom, where we see them breaking down the nursery and Chili getting kind of upset about it, and Bandit just being ready to like move on. So it's so interesting that they've referenced this twice now. The fact that like they're not going to have any more kids, but Chili kind of wants to have more kids. So I know it's a big fan theory that maybe we might see an extra kid in season 4, but I mean, who knows? Like that would be such a cool dynamic for them to introduce another child, possibly a boy, and how he would interact. But, you know, that's all just fan speculation and theory. But if you have a theory about it, please let me know below. Now, of course, they actually get into them playing Boomerang and they're pretending Bluey is the boomerang to just throw away. And of course, they won't come back, which is, you know, how boomerangs work. So boomerangs are an Aboriginal Australian tool originally used for hunting. However, in like the 80s and 90s, it became really popular as a toy. And that's the kind of reference that they're using here. Now we get a bit of an Aussie slang reference from Chili for the next one. So Bluey's drawing her picture of Boomerang and she says that's a cracker. For anyone who doesn't know, cracker in Australia means great, not like the biscuit or the food. So saying, oh, that's a cracker, oh, that's great, is what Chili's saying. We then finally find out why it is that Bluey is so obsessed with this picture being perfect, and we get some flashback scenes. The first flashback scene we get is of Chili and Bingo in the laundry room, and we can see that the same sort of setup is also in the episode Rain later on in season 3. And we know that because of Chattermax, our Easter egg there. Chattermax is hiding in the laundry. There was also a long dog in the washing machine, but there isn't one at the moment. Now we get our second reference to the movie The Castle with saying it's going to go straight to the fridge. Again, I love that they always reference this movie. It is just so prolific in Australian culture. And then when we look at the fridge, we've got just so many Easter eggs on here. A lot from previous seasons. However, the first one I just want to point out is right dead center in the middle there, just underneath Chili and Bluey, is Unicorse, which initially people had thought it was just like a Moonlight Unicorn reference, but no, now we know that that is actually Unicorse, so it was the designers and the animators giving us a shout out to an episode in the future. But basically, let's just go through this fridge with all of the Easter eggs that we can see in it. So, our first one, we have Mia from the episode Barky Boats. We then have Muffin and Socks. We then have Leela from Daddy Drop Off. We then have Floppy in Space from the episode Sleepy Time. We then have the Wagon from Wagon Ride. We then have the Magic Xylophone. We have the Unicorse from Unicorse. We have Mr. Monkey Jocks. We have Chattermax from multiple episodes now, Hide and Seek and Sticky Gecko being the main ones. We then have the Duck Cake from Bingo's birthday episode. We have Chunky Chimp from the episode Movies. Rad and Frisky from Double Babysitter and Christmas Swim. We have the Canoe from the episode Granddad. We then also can see a Christmas tree with a star, which is a reference to Veranda Santa. And then what else? We've got Chloe dressed as the greedy queen from the episode The Adventure. We have a fairy from the episode Fairies. We have Jerry Lee from the episode Escape. Whew. That was a lot. There's a lot on this fridge. But then, of course, Chili replaces the photo of her and Bluey with the picture that Bingo has drawn, and just that look of shock on Bluey's face. You can just see the devastation, and she just drops her cereal on the ground, and she's just so upset. And I love it, though, because Chili apologizes for it and says that she's not perfect. Being a parent is tough. Yeah, it really is. And I know there's a lot of like talk online about how perfect Bandit and Chili seemed, and a big theme of season 3 was showing that they are not perfect. So I think as this being like that first episode of season 3, they really hit home with this now. In hindsight, I can see it. That, yeah, they're trying to show that they're parents, they're human beings. Sometimes they make mistakes that will hurt their children, but they are smart enough to say sorry and talk it through. Now, we get to see sort of the full circle, I guess, of the lesson here, aside from being perfect, but also being tough. Chili asks her, like, you know, what happens when dad's always playing too rough with you? We see another reference to the game No Ticket, and this picture here, as well as the next one, you can see the iPad is on the bedside table next to the bed, which we know is a reference to the future episode Family Meeting, where there's all the discussion about who was using the iPad next to the table. We then see another flash from the boomerang scene, and we got Winton's dad in the background looking very sad. I really hope we get an episode about Winton's dad at some stage. And then hilariously, Chili asks what's the first thing he always says? Don't tell your mom, which is just hilarious, because then he does like the fourth wall break of It's Dad, and that look that Chili gives him, oof. That could just turn you into a statue. I absolutely love it. It's so funny. He backs off. He's like, ha, not today. But we then see the montage of him telling Bluey, well, it's a good thing you're tough. It's a good thing you're tough. It's a good thing you're tough. And I love it because, yeah, as she says, drawing is tough, but it's a good thing that you're tough. And you see the girls finally finishing off their cards. So it's a really beautiful way of sort of rounding out the lesson for the episode. And again, we get our third reference to the movie The Castle, with Bandit now saying, oh, these are brilliant. They're going straight to the fridge. Goodbye, Power Bill, and saying that the pictures to him are absolutely perfect. This picture we see of Bluey and Bandit being tough, we see throughout season 3 as well on the fridge too, so we get to see a little bit more of that. We've got a little long dog magnet there. And then I think there's 2 more little references on the fridge here. So the first one is actually Bingo's drawing of the House of the Rainbow. A possible maybe reference to the episode Rain again, where we saw the double rainbow in front of the house. So maybe a reference to that. But underneath it, I love it. This is actually a police fine for speeding in Queensland. So it's got the Queensland Police logo on it, and usually our fines come with like a picture of our car with the number plate of us speeding. So obviously at some stage, either Bandit or Chili were speeding in the car. I love that they've put that on the fridge. So that's my breakdown of the episode. Perfect overall. I thought it was a really perfect episode. I remember when it came out, I absolutely loved it. It was so spot on. And I'm so glad that a lot of the episodes in season 3 also reflected the message through this episode as well. But what did you think? Did you spot any other Easter eggs or any other references to movies or to Australia as well? If you did, please let me know in those comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, all of those fun things. And I will see you in another video. Mwah! Bye!